Hey, peace and blessings, family. It's Nero here. In this video, I want to talk with you guys today real quickly about balance. And in other words, moderation, pretty much, because that's what balance really is moderation. So, yeah, with that being said, let's get right into it. And if you're a person likes to, if you're a person likes to, you know, talk about like certain words and, like I kind of do it, certain word and you apply that word with a certain, a sign, things like that. And that's just something I like to start doing. You like, we'll say, possessive. You could kind of say, Taurus, Scorpio with that. I say, sacrificial, sacrificing. You could like say Libra, Pisces with that. If you're a person who likes to do things like, if you're a person who likes to think like that and interchange things like that from like philosophy to, astrology, philosophy to astrology, things like that. You know what I'm talking about. I hope that's making sense. But if it's not, like I always say, feel free to leave down in the comments. But yeah, like I was saying, so we don't get distracted, in this video, I want to talk about balance, and also known as moderation. So yeah, with that being said, let's get right into it. So I'll use myself as an example in this video. I'm a person who is, more, I'm a person who's more, sensitive, more empathic, you know, um, and that's really like getting into details. So to, not get too distracted with that either, just say I'm a person who's more introverted, closed off, you know, um, what's what I'm looking at? What's another one I'm looking for? And just you could say like tend to be invulnerable a lot, not invincible, invulnerable, which to an ex it can it depend. And another way of saying invulnerable is stubborn. To an extent, you do have to be stubborn in this world, but not to the point of where you don't want, like to be open to anything. But when you're more introverted, that's what tends to happen a lot. So usually there are things that have to be, happen for that to change. But yeah, 1 second. Excuse me. I have to work on that one. But yeah, so yeah, talking about introverts though, what's the other half of what's the other half to introverts that pole opposite of introverts, which is what I want to get to in a minute too, extroverts. And then when you're a person who's like in the spirituality and all that philosophy, metaphysics, tarot, astrology, and all that, if you're a person who's just spiritual, period, you already understand that everybody has masculine, feminine, introverted, extroverted qualities within themselves, things like that. So don't want to get too don't want to turn that don't want to get too much into the separate rhetoric with that. But yeah, anyway, I digress. So with the introverts, with what I already said, being more closed off, more stubborn, to being open, you know, too sensitive. What do we need to learn to, what pretty much do we need to learn to do? We need to utilize more of our, you know, extrovert energy, and some people say masculine energy, and this simply just means that we need to be more open again, and less less sensitive to criticism, less stubborn to change, things like that, for the most part. And sometimes there'll be people that come into our lives to teach us those lessons, or to help us make those changes. And then say if you're the actually I'm not even going to talk about that because that's a distraction too. But yeah, for the most part, in order to just balance out our in order to balance out our energies as introverts, we just got to learn how to be more open, and it's not because society, and open in the way that we want to be open. If you know what I mean. Not open because somebody, because people, places, and things outside of us are say to be open, but to be open because we know that we should want to be open, but to be open in the way that we want to be, and and that is authenticity, and to not feel like we're uh and to not feel like we are being restricted, constricted, things like that in any sense. But I can really, get really deep with all that and make this video longer than it needs to be, and that's not what I'm trying to do. So, yeah, for us people who are more introverted, more closed off, we just gotta learn how to be more open again, and more extroverted, but not to the sense of where we, may manifest certain experiences where we have to become closed off again. So, just learn how to be open again, but to the extent of where you are still being um, a bit closed off, because you know yourself and you know your experiences, so you know exactly what not to do the next time. If you're y'all know what I mean. And so, yeah, I kind of talked about, if you just flip this with the extrovert, and which will make it really simple, with the extrovert, what do they have to do? Because, and since it's within everybody, you can flip it. And I already kind of explained it. When you're a person who's more open, you definitely have more of a chance of getting taken advantage of and things like that. And, being attacked, all those things. And when you do, and then say, and then you do get hit, and then you go into introversion, and you naturally a person who doesn't want to do that because you're more extroverted, you're more open. But when you do that, and then another thing I want to add is when you're more extroverted, you tend to and that's how things work down here. It's more dualistic and all that. When you're more extroverted, you think that things that deal with introversion are really, weak and all that. And when you're more introverted, you think that you think the same way, but you think the same way about extroverts. So it's like that little clash, and this is just like one example of the same. Yeah, like I said, I don't want to get into all that because that'll really make this video like 10, 20 minutes, who knows how much longer. So, yeah, but just for the extroverts, when you're in certain experiences where you're being taken advantage of in some way, whether it's mentally, emotionally, or even physically from the outside world, that's where you have to get more familiar with the aspect inside of yourself that you don't want to, which is you're more introverted and more, you know, feminine, or more, more reserved and sensitive side. So you can learn that when you need to get back into like your more natural state, which is being open, that you're not open to the point where people are taking advantage of you, whether that's emotionally, mentally, or physically. So yeah, that's pretty much it, and that's how you balance out your energies for the most part. So yeah, and so like I think I talked about how you do it in your daily life. If you're a person who's more, like unorganized, utilize more, take more time to start doing things more organized, you know. And if you're a person who's more unorganized, you're probably, more introverted, things like that. So that's usually how things work. But like I said, I don't want to get into all that because that's a distraction. And then if you're a person who's more organized and always a neat freak, just learn to become, you know, just learn to let go and become more unorganized. And it's really letting go on both sides. One side letting go of, always, being, careless, and one side letting go of, and then the other side letting go of being too caring. So yeah, well, like I said, it's a lot of different ways that it could be said, but ultimately it all comes back to balance, however I cut it. And this is something that I talk about in like all of my videos. And then if you're familiar with metaphysics, you could just go to the law of polarity, and that's like something in each and every video I make, regardless of what the video is about, that I try to implement into each and every one of them. So yeah. But basically, what I'm saying was, in your daily life, whether it's your relationships, just your home, work, whatever, wherever you see an imbalance, too much over too little love, just do the opposite, and to balance that out. And while you're doing the opposite, make sure you know, make sure you remember, make sure that you remember why you were, make sure you remember why you weren't doing the opposite in the first place, so that when you are doing the opposite, you know how to actually balance it out. So yeah, yeah, I get what I'm saying, right? I hope so. But if not, like I always say, throughout the video, just leave that down in the comments, and I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. So with that being said, just want to do this one real quickly, and I'll talk to you guys later where I finish talking about sun the signs and all that. So yeah, I love y'all. Have a good afternoon. Talk to you later. Peace.